Chase Thomas podcast. My nephew needs me to record. See, I already hate it. I hate it.
All right, hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Chase Thomas podcast, where I'm still the aforementioned Chase Thomas, coming to you live from Knoxville, Tennessee, Everything School HQ. Joining me down there in Tequila, Georgia, my good friend, fellow University of North Georgia alumni and host of the Georgia Voice of College Football, it's Matt Green. Matt, good evening, sir. How are you?
Good evening, sir. It is good to be back with you. We're one step closer to the college football season.
We're almost exactly a month out, man. It's the 20th as of this taping. Tennessee's back on August 30th, and it'll be here before you know it. Fall camp next week.
Yeah, 40 days till week 1. So we're really counting till the first. So not quite 40 days where you have to get where you can get some football, but yeah, 40 days till what we're really waiting for. Syracuse versus Tennessee. When Orange are going to shock the world. No, I don't know. I feel like it's a sneaky, big game.
Is it?
I feel like it's a Power 4 matchup, really. And it's like that's better than a cupcake, So the fact that you get a game like that, it's sneaky, we'll see. Tennessee.
I hope it's not sneaky. I hope it's a very straightforward Tennessee decisive 16-point cover win.
Tennessee feels like one of those teams, a lot of question marks about in 2025. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I think Syracuse lost a lot. I know they lost McCord, but it's year 3, Fran Brown, or was last year 1? Is this year 2 of Fran Brown?
Now you have me second guessing. I thought this was year 3, but I could be wrong. You should know he left Georgia.
He left Georgia. I don't think it was that long ago. That's why I would say this is year 2.
Yeah, this is year 2. Yeah, last year was his first year.
So everyone loves Fran Brown. So I mean, it wouldn't shock you if they. I guess it would shock you. You're literally saying that right now.
That would if Tennessee lost to Syracuse in the Dome on August 30th at noon. Yes, I will go ahead and say on record here on July 20th that would shock me, and I think it would shock all of Vol fans, and I think it would be a very bad omen for what's to come the rest of the way. I think.
Yeah, I think it would. It would not be the biggest story of the weekend if Syracuse beat Tennessee.
Well, it just depends on what else happens around that, right? I think if Nico had been QB1, then yes, it would have been the story.
If it's number 8 Tennessee that gets upset, then it would.
Yes.
But number 21 Tennessee, or wherever they are at in the rankings, I don't know. Everyone loved Nico, apparently. So that's what we're learning about the media's perception of Tennessee.
Yeah, and it's something that we'll get into in our Vols versus Dogs segment out of the gate here. But SEC Media Days is done in Atlanta. Matt Green, your old stomping grounds, the College Football Hall of Fame. Before we even dive into that, is there anything, as someone who used to work there, is there for the tourists who come in throughout the year, come in this fall, is there a spot that you would recommend? You're like, hey, it doesn't get as much pub. You're like, I actually think it's pretty cool, and college football fans should go to this one more than anything. It may be off the beaten tracks of the touristy part where they push you.
It's funny you say that because I think it's changed a lot since I've been there. So I think they got rid of. There's some sort of VR QB simulator or something in there now. So I don't know that this part's still in it, but it was this little 5-minute, little 10-minute video or something. It was just like a montage of great college football moments through the years. I feel like it was always underrated. But it depends in the, what do they call it? The quad, that big entrance where the football helmet is when you walk in. I feel like if someone's got the iPad working, I'll sit there all day and just look up different teams and oh, what team is that helmet? And then but sometimes the iPad's not working. So if they're on top of their game, then that part's a lot of fun too.
Are they keeping up with the helmets? Because that changes the primary ones. Is that someone's job to go up on a ladder and change them out?
Yeah, they'll change if someone's rocking different primary helmet. I mean, maybe for years that. It's okay. I don't know how if they're all on top of it, but yeah, I mean, if you're changing up, if you change the way your helmet looks, it's going to be changed on the helmet wall for sure.
Okay. There you have it. Well, Matt Green, before we dive into our Big 12 preview, because it's preview season, we're going to do the Power 4. We'll also throw in the independent Notre Dame. We'll probably throw them at the ACC because they basically play the ACC schedule anyway. So we'll include Notre Dame in that part of our discussion next week. So we'll do the schedule over the next month, and then the regular season will be here as we preview week 1. We will be doing Big 12 this week, ACC next week, Big 10 the following week, and wrap up with the granddaddy of them all, SEC, before week 0, I guess is what we should say. Week 0 will be here, and we'll be previewing some games and then getting ready for week 1 the following week. So to kick things off, though, Vols versus Dogs here. Matt Green, SEC Media Days. Kirby Smart talked a little bit, brought some of his guys to Media Days. Was there anything to you that stood out, or was the story just kind of another kind of weird recruiting situation for Georgia, as Tyler Atkinson, the longtime Georgia target, 5-star out of Grayson, ends up picking Texas over the Dogs? And then the flip, was it James Johnson, the interior defensive lineman? He also flips to Texas. So has that been kind of where your mind's at, is what's happened there, or has it been anything that you learned or gleaned from what Kirby and the folks said this week?
Yeah, I think that's that ended up kind of being one of the bigger stories, the recruiting trail, because Georgia and Texas were both that was both of their days at Media Day, along with Auburn and someone else. I remember whoever Tennessee was the other one that day, right?
Yep. Tuesday.
Yeah, and it was like interesting. Georgia's this team, the defending SEC champions, really more uncertainty about Georgia this year than most years. Yet they feel like the most boring team at SEC Media Days at the same time. So it's kind of interesting. But yeah, to have Kirby talk about the whole relationships over transactions thing, I feel like maybe he's not talking about Tyler Atkinson and James Johnson, but it's like it's essentially in reference to that. And then again today, Derek Cooper, the 5-star running back, chooses Texas. So you have three huge targets that Texas just landed that were obviously Georgia was after. And then you have Sarkisian talking about, we don't really talk about NIL. So we've seen the Lambo videos, guys. Like it is what it is. It's so funny how people use NIL and then kind of like avoid, oh, that's not the, it's like, it's legal. Like you don't have to be ashamed of it. Like I was on a Michigan like live show and they got some recruit, and even they feel they're all butthurt about, oh, people think we're just paying every time we get a recruit now. And it's like, I mean, who cares? You're not breaking the rules if that's what it takes for you guys. You guys have a billionaire, a couple of super wealthy people that are actually willing to spend money on your team. Like, yeah, go for it. I think most people would do it. Like, is this how Yankees fans and Dodgers fans are? Like when they signed with our team just because they love our culture. And we also just happen to give them the biggest contract in free agency. Like, I don't know. It's weird how fans talk out of both sides of their mouth. Like clearly Texas is pushing NIL more than most others, and it's working.
Well, I think they were listed as the top spender, right? In that graphic, it's them and Texas Tech, I want to say. And Georgia is not even in that top 10. Tennessee came in at what, 9? And I still, when I see stuff like that, I'm like, where are you getting your numbers? Where are you getting those final we have our suspicions as to who the biggest, who the most expensive team is. I mean, that was what the rumor was about Ohio State last year. You know, it's like Ohio State had the most expensive roster and won the national title. But I will say the thing about that conversation that always just kind of, I'll say, is kind of overlooked when Georgia fans get upset about the Texas flip or whatever, or if a kid picks Miami, like Jackson Cantwell over Georgia. Like, I understand that part of it, but I will say it's not like it would be one thing for Tyler Atkinson or James Johnson or Justice Terry to end up being a late flip or a late change from Georgia to or Missouri, because of Missouri's that would raise an eyebrow. Where okay, there's just not really the track record there. That's odd. Texas is, yes, their NIL is strong, but it's also their defense is nasty. This is a team that has a great coaching staff. They have their stuff together. This is it. Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, Texas, they all have their stuff together and they're all contenders. Tennessee is now in the blue chip ratio for the first time since the Philip Fulmer era. So over 50% of their roster this year will be blue chippers from the high school ranks. So they're in that one of 14 teams who can win the national title that Bud Elliott just released this week on CBS Sports. So to me, I just look at it as like, it's not like Georgia's losing late these battles to just a bottom dweller who, like, it's even Texas Tech, it would be weirder because it's like, all right, Texas Tech, we know what's happening there. If you're spurning the dogs late for the Red Raiders, no offense to the Red Raiders, but it's different. Like, you're going to the Big 12, okay, all right, sure. But if you're going to Texas, you're going to 1A, 1B. I mean, these are the two teams in the SEC title game. These are the two strongest, I think, programs right now in the conference. They're the two favorites once again to meet in the SEC title game. So I just think it's just big boy battles, and Georgia's won their fair share against Texas too. So it's not like Texas is only flipping these big, but you're in this era. I just think it's hard, and you're not going to get everybody, and Georgia's just not going to have the depth they used to have.
No, I mean, that's true. But and if it was just something that was coming from Georgia fans, then yeah. You're just kind of butthurt. But it's like Justice Terry admitted it. Just like, yeah, the NIL package is better.
But he still doesn't go to Texas, right? Like, if Texas is not the premier destination where he thinks that they can still develop him to be ready for the NFL. Like, I don't think he's going to Texas without the expectation that he's going to be an NFL defensive lineman.
But when you're talking about that as like the baseline, like, there's 20 programs that are capable of just putting dudes in the league that have big time D-line coaches, big time defensive coaches that know what the hell they're doing, that can develop dudes and put them in the league. Like, you can go anywhere and just be tight, like, but obviously Justice Terry's from Georgia. So he was committed to Georgia at one point, committed to USC at another point. I mean, it is what it is. It's frustrating because in the traditional recruiting landscape, that's a guy that ends up at Georgia, a guy who visited 20 times. Texas started recruiting him like a month before signing day, and they get him because of the NIL package. I think that's one recruit that we just know straight up said that's why. We don't know how many other ones there are. And then Steve Wiltfong, to be a national guy, to be like, yeah, Jackson Cantwell is totally a Georgia guy. Like, and I think Rusty Mansell, like, this was a done deal at one point, like months before that. But then the NIL is just too much to say no to. So if it was just Georgia, like, fans that kind of were saying this, then I'd be like, yeah, you're getting butt hurt. But I think because of the lack of championship coaches right now, I mean, Dabo Swinney's a 2-time national championship, and we almost talk about his 2 championships like they were from another era. And it's like, yeah, you almost don't consider him an elite coach. So you see some of these lists where he's not top 5 or top 10. And I mean, outside of Ryan Day, there's basically 2 national championship winning coaches in college football right now. And so under that landscape, in a traditional recruiting sense, Georgia is just such a no-brainer for being the best destination at a lot of these, like, not even being biased. So it's like, if they're not going to Georgia, it's probably because there's other factors involved, and now there is other factors involved. So I don't know. I'm sure I sound like a homer to someone who's not a Georgia fan, but I mean, who's better at producing NFL defensive linemen, defensive backs, linebackers, like, it's just at every level, Georgia's been doing elite things over the last 5-6 years since Kirby Smart got there. It's just they're at a different level than everybody else, and Nick Saban's not in the sport anymore.
I mean, they did have Alfred Collins get drafted here. Vernon Broughton, 2 interior guys were drafted for Texas right there this year. I don't know. I just look at it as like, it's a good spot. Like, Texas and Georgia, you're going to get developed. You're going to get to the league. And I just think it's a battle to see who's the top dog. And I think Alabama has something to say about it, and they'll have something to say about it this year as well. But yeah, I don't know. I do think it's interesting.
I will say, like, it's a talking point that, I don't know. We maybe get another year, another 365 days of this. But at some point, it's like, okay, well, this is the new system, I guess. Until, I mean, maybe we don't. Maybe we don't get another year because they're going to change the system and whatever NIL restrictions, and so maybe this is just always going to be a thing that we talk about. Oh, under the different rules, this is what would happen. Like, we all just need to get used to, like, oh, this is the landscape now. If Georgia loses a guy because of NIL to Texas, it's the same as losing a guy because his girlfriend went to that school, or a guy that he was promised jersey number 7 at that school. Whatever random reasons guys always had for going to a school, playing time, or whatever it is. NIL's another reason now. So it's just we all got to get used to that. But it's just interesting for a guy like Kirby Smart to use some of his time. Like, yeah, we all like talk about this as lip service. Like, oh, Georgia's paying players. It's like clearly it's not. Like clearly Kirby Smart has a philosophy, and then you saw like Georgia misses out on Atkinson and Texas flips James Johnson. The next day, Nick Abrams commits to Georgia, and then Valdon Stone on Friday commits to Georgia. And Valdon Stone, it almost seems like a PR little like battle going on. Like he had some sort of line when he committed that like Georgia's not for everybody. Like if you're like he said he could have gotten more money somewhere else, but like Georgia, people that go to Georgia or they're about grinding and all this kind of stuff. And I don't know. So I don't have the quote right in front of me, but he's even saying kind of echoing the words that Kirby Smart's saying. Like it's not really about NIL, like coming here because you're willing to put in the work. So, maybe Kirby put him up to saying that. Who knows? But he's at least bought into the culture.
We're all very sad for the Georgia Bulldog fan base right now, Matt Green.
And I don't know, Valdon Stone, I mean,
hearts go out, man.
The newest rankings, I think Valdon Stone is like he's the dude from Sweden. That he plays in Virginia, but he's top 50 recruit, I think, right now, 6'3", 315. Big time. So, Georgia's gonna be all right on defense.
Yeah. On the Tennessee side of things, I texted you this where I saw the SEC media poll and where they think Tennessee is going to finish this upcoming season. And again, it's something you touched on at the top here. It's just people are wrong about Tennessee this year. And it's one of those very silly things where you can tell who watched a lot of Tennessee the last 2 years in media and who did not. Tennessee won 19 games the last 2 years with below average quarterback play. Tennessee has lost one home game in the last 3 years. Tennessee has one of the best schedules in the SEC and all of FBS. It's a top 15 schedule nationally. The losses aren't there. So for the teams that you see above, do you have it in front of you? The 1 through 9.
I do have
Matt
it in
Green?
front of me. Yes.
For the listener and for the Vol fans who have not seen where the SEC media thinks the Vols are going to finish this year, enlighten the good folks this week.
Okay, so we got. You mean just go down the list?
Yeah, let's go down the list.
Until I get to the Vols. We got 1 Texas, 2 Georgia, 3 Alabama, 4 LSU, 5 South Carolina, 6 Florida, 7 Ole Miss, 8 Texas A&M, and the Vols coming in at number 9, and Oklahoma at 10. You may keep going. Oklahoma 10, Auburn 11, and Missouri 12. And then I feel like that's where it drops off. Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Kentucky, and Mississippi State, bottom 4. So.
Do you know what that feels like?
Surprised to see Mississippi State behind Kentucky, to be honest. They feel like they have more of a pulse than Kentucky right now. But, I mean, maybe we're splitting hairs down there at the bottom.
I think what that is more, I think Kentucky has a safer floor with the defense. Mark Stoops just seemingly has a safer floor than Mississippi State.
Maybe.
But I do think Mississippi State has a higher ceiling this year. How I feel about Blake Shapen.
But let's stay focused on the real story. On this glob of teams. What, 4 to 9, 4 to 10?
It's basically like 4 to 12, because if you're going to throw Mizzou all the way down at 12, who I think is still going to be a pretty good team, and another team who has a great schedule this year, they have a better schedule than Tennessee, arguably, in 2025. It's just the problem with this poll is it's like, it's okay to have a couple of those teams in front of Tennessee. You can't have that many because it's too many volatile teams with way more difficult schedules who they all can't break out and Tennessee be the 9th best. That's going to require some bad Tennessee losses that we have not seen under Josh Heupel since basically his first season on Rocky Top, where he went 7-5 in the regular season. That's just not in the cards. And it's something where when you look at Tennessee's home record and you look at where Tennessee's at defensively, yes, the Nico part of it hurts things. And I think that would have raised their ceiling, obviously, in the conference and what they could be. But he was still theoretical. Like Nico, we have no idea what year 3 in the system would have looked like for him. He may have made progress. He may not have. He may just not be that guy. That happens with 5-star quarterbacks. That's just a projection. It doesn't mean it's a guarantee that they're going to end up developing into first-round quarterbacks. So I just look at it in terms of like, man, I still trust the run game. I think the offensive line is going to be better than last year. The receivers, they have to stay healthy, but there's a path. Tight end's going to be really good again this year. And then they're just deep all across the board on defense. And I just have a very hard time believing where they're going to be on special teams, defense, running the football. If they have to ground and pound people to death because the quarterback plays below average again and the receivers can't stay healthy and they're just too young and thin there, Josh Heupel and company have earned the benefit of the doubt. Like, they are going to grind. It might be ugly, but they are going to grind to win. Heupel wants to win above all else. He will adapt his scheme to win football games. He's shown that every year he's been at Tennessee. The tempo's been gone for years now, and it just doesn't matter. Like, you need it back to really realistically, I think, contend. But I think you're going to see some new wrinkles on offense. But man, I think people have really just completely lost their minds about Tennessee. Like, this is an 8-4 floor and ceiling 10-2, but that would require a whole lot better quarterback play than I think they're ultimately going to be able to get in 25. So yeah, I mean, 9-3 is about right. 8-4, I think, is the floor, and that's not finishing ninth in this conference. Like, Florida has a much floor, like Florida, South Carolina, Ole Miss, A&M. They're way more volatile to me than what Tennessee is in 2025.
Yeah, I mean, you could even throw LSU in there just in terms of just the schedule. LSU's schedule is just a monster. But yeah, South Carolina and Florida feel like the most possible outcomes for sure in the whole conference. I don't know. Everyone's in love with Lagway, so maybe this is the year they take the step forward. But I think people are kind of sleeping on Texas A&M at 8. Personally, I think Texas A&M would not surprise me if they finish 4th or 5th or so in the SEC. I mean, this is a team that if they beat Texas in the final game of the season, they were going to the SEC championship last year. Like, now it's year 2 of Elko. Like, Marcel Reed, maybe he's a little more comfortable in the second year in the offense. Like, I feel like A&M people are kind of sleeping on, but yeah, I mean, but to talk about Tennessee, like, I just think Nico taking that step, I think, was a huge part of everyone's expectations, or I should say non-Tennessee expectations. And so I think Nico, and then also Dylan Sampson was the best player on this team last year. Maybe Heupel's system, he's just able to plug in a new running back and they don't miss a beat. But I think that's another aspect of, like, Nico's gone and the guy that actually was the best player on the team last year is also gone. I don't know. And the schedule is not tough. So, or I shouldn't say it's not tough. It's more manageable than some of the other schedules in the SEC. So I think I would be shocked. I wouldn't say shocked. I'd be surprised if they finished 9th in the SEC. But I'm not super high. Like, I mean, I probably have them 6 or 7, I guess. But I don't think 9 is like necessarily egregious.
9's egregious with the schedule and what Tennessee has proven. Yeah, it's egregious. Like, I think Tennessee, if I had to put my money where my mouth is this year, I think they're somewhere between 5 and 7. I think they're safe 5 to 7. I would be surprised if they're one of the 4 best this year. I would be pleasantly surprised, but I think they fit somewhere in 5 to 7.
And I think this is why I texted you when we first saw this, was like JP poll style, power rankings. Maybe Tennessee is the 9th best team in the conference by the end of the year, but I feel like if they are, they'll probably be 5th or 6th in the standings. Like, and I think Missouri could be kind of something similar.
Yeah. We shall see, but it is interesting. I think it's good for Tennessee, though, because I think expectations are low. And I think people are going into this year like, Heupel, bad hand, the Nico stuff. I think there's just a lot of folks who feel bad for what happened to Tennessee this spring, and they don't expect a whole lot out of them. So I just think Tennessee's going to get some weird underdog love. And I'm like, this is a team that's won 30 games in the last 3 years. Like, this is still a top 15 team. And like we talked about at the top, they are now in the blue chip ratio. This is an extremely talented roster. Like, Tennessee has really quietly been stacking good classes on top of good classes. And I do think they messed up receiver in the portal this past cycle. But outside of that, like, I still feel pretty good about everything, all things considered. So I don't know. We shall see on the Tennessee front, but I'm a whole lot more bullish on the Vols in 25 than it seems like a lot of SEC media folks are. Matt Green, Big 12 preview. Oh, yeah.
Can I say one more thing? It's interesting to me how many people are throwing LSU in that top group, kind of.
Yeah.
Like, just they're known and they're in that group. They feel like they have a lot of different outcomes too. So
a lot more transfer portal heavy this cycle for them.
Yeah, for sure. And I think in most years, if this was 2, 3, 4 years ago and Georgia and Alabama had teams like this, I think people are talking about them like it's anyone's conference. And right now it's interesting how Georgia and Alabama and Texas are being treated kind of differently. Maybe it's just a different year. There's just different, parity in the SEC right now. But even the teams that everyone's putting in that elite group, I'm not sure how much better those teams are than everyone else right now.
Yeah. Big 12 preview. Will they or won't they? We're going to play this game for each of the Big Four, Power Four conferences over our preview series over the next month here, Matt Green. And then we'll make our picks on our over-under bets, whether or not they are going to hit the over or hit the under this season. What is this, year 5 of us doing this, Matt Green, I believe?
Oh, yeah. We've been doing this a long time now. I don't have the data right in front of me, so don't ask for it.
I think it's year 5. But we're also doing Big 12 title game. We'll pick who makes the Big 12 title game and who makes the CFP from this conference. So we're going to do 5 minutes on the clock. We might end up using the 5. We might not. But either way, as we get through each of these 16 teams in the Big 12 conference, because nothing makes sense in college football and conferences, and why you should never name or include numbers in your conference titles names, because you just never know how long that conference will actually exist. Like the Big Ten is actually quietly trying to get away from it, just the big conference. They're
the
hiding
word
that
10.
Yeah, they're trying to hide it. It's just like, we're the Big 10 conference. Like they're trying to distance themselves because they know it's very silly at that, because you're nearing 20 here and you're still calling yourself the quote unquote Big 10 conference, but that is neither here nor there, Matt Green.
Yeah,
I'll start things off. Oklahoma State, 5 minutes on the clock. Here we go. Oklahoma State, 5.5, Matt Green. Here's the weird part about Oklahoma State to me. Oklahoma State was awful, and they were a preseason CFP team. They bring back Ollie Gordon. They bring back Alan Bowman. There was a lot of optimism. We were talking about it last year where it just, Mike Gundy, speaking of coaches who've just kind of earned high expectations, where it's just the model of consistency. Like, we don't ever think that Oklahoma State's going to win a CFP or anything, a national championship game or anything of the sort, but they're just a really stable, great program. And it went as bad as it possibly could go for Mike Gundy, where we're like, oh, is this all over in a hurry for Mike Gundy? Is this just like the door is shut, NIL and everything else is just really wrecked this program, and they're in a world of hurt for the foreseeable future? This is a gigantic year for Mike Gundy and company, because he's talked about this week, like they figured some stuff out, or at Big 12 Media Day, where they figured some stuff out in NIL and in the transfer portal, I think. So it seems like he has the expectation that they're on better footing. I mean, he's 169-88 as the Cowboys head coach here, 3-9 last year. I mean, they went 0-9, Matt Green, in the Big 12. They did not win a game. They were a preseason Big 12 champion pick, and they went 0-9 in this conference. Like, that's just bonkers. They won 10 games, though, the year prior, and then they had a bad year in 22 where they go 7-6. And then the year prior, they went 12-2. There's a year in 2018 where they go 7-6, Matt Green, and then they went 10-3 the year prior. He's done that a lot in his career. The problem is he's never gone 3-9. That was his worst season since his first year in 05, when he went 4-7 and 1-7 in the Big 12. That next year, he went 6-6, won the bowl game in the Independence Bowl in 2006. So he went back to bowl eligibility. I mean, I think he has to do that, because I think he might need to make a bowl game to like save the job. I don't know if he has like full on just autonomy just because of the situation, or it's like we kind of have expectations here and we have a strong fan base, and it's like, you can't just lay back-to-back eggs, kind of like what happened to Mike Norvell in Florida State, where it's like, yeah, you almost made the CFP and you had that magical year 2 years ago, but you can't go 3-9 after going 2-10 at Florida State in back-to-back years. Like, it just can't happen here, no matter what you did 2 years ago, or in Gundy's case, over a 20-year span. So to me, I think it's all very odd. Like, there's Jake Retzlaff buzz potentially. Like, fall camp's about to start, and the quarterback position is not decided at all. And you look at the quarterback spot for Oklahoma State, you don't feel good about that. They were 98th in FBS in quarterback rating last season. The defense in ESPN's S&P Plus projections for this year is 84th. I'm not buying it. I think Oklahoma State's in trouble, man. I think this is going to be another they're going to have to fight for bowl eligibility. Like, I don't think they're going 0 for 9 in the conference again, Matt Green, but I don't think they're turning it around and are going to be one of the Big 12's best teams. I don't think we're going to see that kind of flip to like a 10-2 CFP type year. I think they're going to be fighting for bowl eligibility. Like, that 5.5 feels about right to me. And I hate to say it, but I'm going under. I think the Cowboys are maybe cooked here. And this is like kind of a crazy end of an era for Gundy and Stillwater. I don't see it with this roster in this situation. And then the weird Jake Retzlaff thing. I mean, if that happens, I guess you have to change your calculus. If he winds up at Oklahoma State here in a couple weeks, there's a couple other opportunities for him. And we'll see if it's like Northwestern, Oklahoma State. I don't know where he ultimately ends up. But I don't see it with the Cowboys, Matt Green. So I'm going to go under 5.5. I think I kind of want to lock that in. I don't see it with the Cowboys this year. I think it's another bad year.
Yeah, I think I'm with you as well. And yeah, I think we had the conversation when Texas and Oklahoma left this conference. Like, who kind of takes over the conference? I feel like Oklahoma State's kind of positioned to take this conference over, get in the playoff every year. So it's kind of crazy the conversation we're having right now after a 3-9. But like you're saying, year 1 was 2005, meaning this is year 20 for Mike Gundy this year. I think he's bought himself more goodwill than that. I don't know. I think even if he misses a bowl game this year, I don't know that Gundy gets fired. I don't know. I feel like they love him up there in Stillwater, over there in Stillwater. So I'm gonna go under as well. But I think Gundy's still the head coach.
Interesting. You're going over.
No, I'm going under.
Okay, you're going under. Okay, so we agree right away.
I'm just saying that I'm going over on Gundy on the half of keeping his job.
I think if he goes 3-9 or worse, he's out. And then 4-8 is like 50-50. But I think 3-9 or below, he's gone. You just can't have that at Oklahoma State, man. You just can't.
Yeah.
Like you said, like this,
crazy.
They were set up to be the kings of the Big 12 here in this next era of Oklahoma and Texas leaving, and they're at the bottom, man. And it's only getting harder with BYU spending like they are and Texas Tech spending like they are. Like, it's only getting harder, man. Arizona State's rolling.
Yeah, where's T. Boone Pickens when you need him? R.I.P.
Next up, TCU 5 minutes on, or Texas Tech, excuse me, 5 minutes on the clock. Tell us about the Red Raiders. 8.5 is their over-under this season, Matt Green.
So Texas Tech, I feel like they're the sexy team in the Big 12 right now. Landing a recruit over Texas, spending money and all this. 8-5 last year, 8-4 in the regular season. So they're second in returning production in the Big 12 this year. SP Plus has them sitting at 26th. They have to go on the road at Arizona State and Kansas State this year, who I think they didn't do the this is the worst thing. Can I go on a soapbox for a half a second?
Yeah.
The Big 12 media just like, bitching up. I'm sorry, for lack of a better term. Just totally bitching up and just not doing a preseason projection because of how last year how bad their predictions were last year. It's just the most terrible thing I've ever heard of the media doing. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. So why are we even doing this? It's just hilarious to me. But I would say Kansas State and Arizona State are probably at the top of most people's picks for Big 12 champion this year. And they have to go on the road at both those teams. I think that's going to be tough. But I really like Texas Tech this year. I think they feel like they're the best team in the Big 12. If I'm being honest, we don't know how to I think judge what these portal star rankings are and everything. But I'm just trying to go with what the data we have. And you look at the transfer portal rankings, they've added 13 4-stars to their, like, quote unquote 4-stars in the transfer portal. Like, that's insane. If that's accurate and that's the kind of talent they've actually added to their team, like, I mean, that's just going to do huge things for Texas Tech in this conference. And then Baron Morton is back as well, starting quarterback. So he 27 touchdowns, 8 picks a year ago. So I don't know if you just hammer the over because this conference is so crazy balanced. Like, the champion might have a 9-game regular season, a 9-win regular season, but I'm definitely thinking Texas Tech is over here. I think I like them to potentially win this conference this year.
There's a lot of pressure on them to win this conference. And like you said, this schedule is really nice. I mean, going to Tempe for Arizona State will be hard. Going to Kansas State's going to be hard. But I mean, you still get BYU at home. You get Oklahoma State at home, Oregon State at home, Kansas at home. Yeah, you don't love having to go to Utah there, but that I think you should be favored in that game. And we'll get to Utah here in a little bit. UCF at home. It's a good schedule for them, but it's also like you spent big. Like this is their expectations now, because you flirted around 7-8 wins his first 3 years, Joey McGuire at Texas Tech and Lubbock. Yeah, I don't know. Their defense just sucked last year. So they hired Sheil Wood, who was the DC at Houston this past year, who was really good at Tulane and was a Broyles Award finalist. He's got a huge task, like you said, bringing in a bunch of transfers and everything else. Like the defense has to be a whole lot better if they're going to win the Big 12, because the defense last year, Matt Green, was awful. So they gave up 37 points in their blowout loss to Washington State. They gave up, let's see here. Where's the other one? Yeah, 41 to Cincinnati in a win. They gave up 59 to Baylor in a loss, 35 to TCU in a loss, 41 to Colorado in a loss. They gave up 48 to that terrible Oklahoma State team where they won in the last little bit there. It was ugly. Like that defense has to get a whole lot better, and we'll see if that higher pays dividends for the Red Raiders. I still need to see it to believe it, Matt Green. I'm going under on Texas Tech this year. I think 8-4, 7-5 is still what until McGuire and company prove that they can win more than 8 games. I'm not doing it, Matt Green. I'm going under for Texas Tech.
All right, put it on the board.
All right, where are we going next? Let's see here. We are going to TCU, 6.5. It feels like forever ago, Matt Green, that TCU was playing for national championship games. However, you might remember Max Duggan, who was a superstar player for Sonny Dykes and company. It's a little bit different. Garrett Riley was the OC at the time. Now it's, what's his name? Kendall Briles, and he's been there for a couple of years. But Josh Hoover and company quietly balled out in the second half of last year, and I think a lot of people may have missed this. Horned Frogs went 6-1 down the stretch last season, Matt Green. They ended the season very hot. The second half of the season was very strong for the Horned Frogs. They built a lot of buzz there, and Josh Hoover is a big reason why. I think he's one of those great college quarterbacks who's going to be putting up bonkers numbers again. Not really an NFL guy, but a guy who just really works in that college high-octane offense scheme. And I think Josh Hoover has some buzz as like the sneaky best quarterback in the conference this year. Like he very much might put up the best numbers in the conference this year. And no one's really looking at the Horned Frogs. 6.5 is super interesting to me because I think TCU deserves a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt, because I do think this offense is legitimately good. I do think Josh Hoover is a legitimately good quarterback. That opener against UNC should be pretty telling. I think they should win that game if they're serious. I mean, you get SMU at home. That's good. You got to go Arizona State, but you get Colorado at home in a swing game. You got to go to Kansas State. That's tough. Baylor, which is another swing game. You get that at home. You get Iowa State at home, Cincinnati at home. I like this schedule. This feels to me like an 8-4, 9-3 team. Maybe if everything comes together and Josh Hoover is like a Heisman type guy this year and the offense is really good, like top 5 offense nationally passing, I could see it. But yeah, I'm going over. I'm buying the Horned Frogs here in 2025 under Sonny Dykes and company. I think they're going to be pretty good. I like the schedule, and I just like Josh Hoover a lot, and the metrics really like them this past year. So I think they finished strong and they built up that momentum, and I think they have a really good season, and they finish somewhere in that top 4 range in the Big 12 this year.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know if I'm as high on TCU as you are, like winning 9 games or something like that. But the 6.5, I'm with you. Josh Hoover, I think, could be the best quarterback in this conference. That reason alone, I think this team could win 7 games.
Yeah, I think it's just easy to overlook this TCU team, and I think I think part of it is just because of how awful that follow-up year was, to them making the national title, and you just completely forgot about them. And it's like, well, no, Sonny Dykes is a pretty good coach, and they have a pretty good system, and they're still okay. Like TCU did not fall off a cliff here, and I think people went too far the other way. And I think TCU is slowly getting their credibility back after what happened against Georgia in that national title game. And I think this year will be good. I think Josh Hoover is a good quarterback, and I think they're going to be a good one.
It's also worth noting, people
Yeah.
forget how good that 2022 team was.
Yeah.
And like they beat Michigan to get to that championship game. Like I hate the disrespect that comes from that team just because Georgia absolutely abused them. Like that the team was fun all year, and then they won a game in the 14 playoffs. So that's more than a lot of other programs can say that somehow maybe got in the playoff. There weren't that many egregious like 4-team playoff, like just teams that got in. Like there's teams like Michigan State that got like, blasted, but I don't know. The fact that TCU won a game in the playoff, I don't know. They get too disrespected.
I agree. Next up, Kansas State, 8.5, Matt Green. What say you?
The Kansas State Wildcats, sir. I feel like they just feel like the most consistent program in the Big 12. I don't feel like everyone can win 10 games, but I keep thinking, yeah, this team's over. I mean, you just look at this. It's funny too. You look at, I mean, there were 3 11-win teams in this conference a year ago, so obviously multiple teams are capable of going over. Every team in this conference is between 41 and 67 in strength of schedule nationally. It's just like every team, you just look at the strength of schedule, it's 54. It's 51. Like every single team is just like right in there. They're basically all the same. I look at, in terms of strength of schedule, this conference is just so, it's so even. Avery Johnson's back at quarterback. This team went 9-4 a year ago, 8-4 in the regular season, so they would have gone under this, but I just have a lot of confidence in Kansas State. And like I said, Avery Johnson is such a dynamic quarterback. Like I feel like he's the ultimate wild card. Like he could be the best player in this conference and they could be, 10-2, 11-1 or something. I'm not necessarily predicting that, but I feel like, we've seen guys like this kind of ball out in college. And he just has the vibes of just like a great college player to me. I feel like I'm going over on Kansas State. I think they're definitely one of my short list contenders to win this conference this year.
Yeah, I think what you said is the best part of where they're at as a program, right? Under Chris Kleiman. It's just they're consistent. I mean, you wondered kind of when you lost Colin Klein to Texas A&M, you're like, okay, what's the offense going to look like? They're going to take a step back. It's going to be okay. Nope, they're fine. And Avery Johnson, I don't think has quite lived up to hype. I don't know if you agree. Like he's been good, but Avery Johnson has not been like a game changer where you're like, oh, could he be, El Roberson, Michael Bishop, like all time great, or Colin Klein, who won a whole heck of a lot of games at
Heisman finalist.
Yeah, so he hasn't gotten to that level, but he does have the talent, right? Like if you have to kind of look at around the Big 12, there's just so many good quarterbacks that you kind of overlook. You're like, oh yeah, Avery Johnson, good quarterback, but he's not in that Hoover, Sawyer Robertson buzz at the top of the conference here this year. And we'll get to Sawyer here in a little bit. But yeah, it's just Kansas State's just fine. Like they're just, until I see Kansas State fall off, I think that line is kind of low, 8.5, but it's also kind of respectful, 8.5. Like a lot of people are going to probably take the over. And I am too, man. I think Kansas State's going to be really good again this year. We're going to get into where I think they're ultimately going to be overall. But yeah, Chris Kleiman is, I think, one of the best coaches that no one talks about. And how lucky did Kansas State fall into from Bill Snyder to Chris Kleiman long-term? Two long-term steady hands who seem to be really fine being the little apple and just running a great program. Like Kansas State is just super solid every year. It's a great schedule. They open with Iowa State in week 0. We'll see what that looks like in Dublin. But yeah, I like the schedule a lot for K-State. I think they're going to be favored. I will say Kansas State's favored in every single game except for one this season, Matt Green. I think the only game they're not favored in, maybe 2, Iowa State. I guess they might not be favored in that one. I don't know if you have that in front of you, the week 0 line. I could see Iowa State being favored there maybe. But at Baylor is the only other one. So I think they're a 10-2 team this year, and I think there's possibility for 11-1 too potentially. So I'm pretty in on Kansas State and where they could go this year. It's a big year for them. They're not getting the same publicity as Texas Tech and company, but I do think this has potential to be a CFP year. And I think if I had to look around, who's the safest Big 12 college football playoff bet? To me, it's the Wildcats of the Little Apple.
No, I'm with you there. I was trying to pull up that line. Wasn't there someone in between Phil Snyder, didn't he retire and like come back or something?
Yeah, it was
or
Ron Prince. Was it Ron Prince? Is that his name? I think it was Ron Prince.
Yeah, there it is. So okay, from 06 to 09, he had to bring Kansas State football back to where it like rightly belongs.
Yes. But yeah, so there you go. I think they'll be good shape, and I'm pretty bullish on Kansas State, and you might hear me bring them up again at the end of this podcast as a tease there.
Right now it's looking like Kansas State -3, -3.5.
Okay, then I think they'll be
State.
favored in every single game this year except for one.
Yeah, I could see that.
It's pretty good. Arizona State, the other Big 12 preseason darling. And part of it is because what they did last year. Arizona State was legit. Arizona State had Texas on their heels in Atlanta. They should have honestly won that football game. That was tough. It was tough what happened there at the end for the Sun Devils, but they had a fantastic season. Kenny Dillingham and Kyle Whittingham, man, both in the same conference. Kenny Dillingham is elite. I think he's the right guy at the right time for the Sun Devils. They feel kind like outside of Kansas State to me, they feel like the safest from volatility in the conference. They retained a lot. Sam Levitt obviously back. They bring in the Army running back as well. He should be a good player for them. Defense should be good again. Losing Cam Scatabo, but like I said, I think they replaced him the best they could have given the circumstances. The one thing that I thought was kind of weird was they were 53rd in completion percentage versus ranked teams last year. So I think Levitt's got to get better against good teams on the completion percentage front. I kind of wondered too when I was thinking back and looking at different stats. It's like, are we sure they were better than Colorado a season ago? Was their ceiling better than the best version of Colorado? I don't know. I've gone back and forth on that. I think Colorado's offense, has now been kind of under talked about last year and how good it was at its peak with Shador and Travis Hunter and company. But that's a what if to me. Like if Colorado could have won a couple of playoff games just with what their offense was capable of any given Saturday, because I do think ultimately it had a higher ceiling. But
yeah,
I don't know. They were 13th in FEI. I think they were obviously a more complete team than Colorado and the best team in the Big 12. But they're 22nd in S&P Plus this year. And I think a lot of people are talking themselves into, contender. They're going to run it back. And I'm like, I think they might take a little bit of a step back. Like, I don't think they're going to, I don't have them in my Big 12 title game right now. I think Kenny Dillingham has done a great job helping out the floor there. But it's just dangerous in the Big 12 to go after the preseason team. And I think it's hard to go back to back and be the top of of this crazy chaotic conference that's not even doing preseason polls because they're so scared of the volatility of this conference. So I'm going to sell Matt Green. I think Arizona State right now is an 8-win team. I'm going to go 8-4 this year for the Sun Devils. And it's still a good year, but I don't think they're going to have that same magic from a year ago. So I'm going 8-4 Sun Devils. I think 4 or 5 teams in the Big 12 I think are going to be better than Arizona State this year. But I think they're still going to be good. They're just not going to be as good as a season ago. So, yeah, give me the under.
Chase Thomas, you have surprised me and also slightly stolen my thunder, I feel like a little bit, but it's okay. I thought you started to say, I think all the narrative around Arizona State and everything, like they feel like the safest team, Kenny Dillingham, like not a lot of transfers and everything like that. Like, do they have any was that the storyline? They didn't have any transfers or something like that?
No, they had a couple. They just didn't have many.
Yeah, so they just and like you said, the vibes at the end of the year with Cam Scatabo and probably should have beating Texas in that quarterfinal game. It feels like everyone's like, oh, Arizona State, they're legit. Bring the quarterback back this year. Like they're that team that's gonna contend. And I feel like the Big 12 is never that simple, sir. And you rightly predicted it. They went 6-2. Excuse me. They went 6-2 in 1-score games last year. Like the Big 12 is just a wild conference. And I don't think, and Cam Scatabo was such a like heart and soul of that team. It kind of felt like that's a big guy to lose. Like they still have Sam Levitt back, but I think Scatabo is a huge loss. And I think 6-2 in 1-score games that you might not be that lucky this year. And so I'm also going to sell that this might be an 8-win team this year. Let's go under.
I didn't think we would both go under there.
I did not. I thought that's what I'm saying. I thought that was going to be one where we differed. You surprised me.
Have we differed at all yet or no?
Yes.
Texas Tech.
You went over. Yeah, you went under on Texas Tech. I went over
Yeah.
on Texas Tech. Yeah, the rest we've agreed.
BYU, Matt, 7.5 for the Cougs and Kalani Sitake. What say you?
So this is a tough one. BYU at 7.5. Obviously the quarterback got kicked off the team or dismissed, whatever you want to call it. McKay Hillstead. It's an open competition, but McKay Hillstead has started a handful of games for Utah State in 2023, and I think he's going to be the starter. So they go on the road at Arizona State, at Colorado, at Texas Tech, and at Iowa State this year. So like that's a tough slate right there of road games. I feel like in general, I believe in BYU's consistency, regardless of who's playing quarterback. Oh, but 7.5 is such a good line, honestly. Just because of what this conference is, I think I'm going to go under because maybe this is a 7-win team, but I feel like it won't surprise me if there are 7-8 wins. This is a good line. What say you?
I'm right. I mean, I'm going under too. I think it's 7.5 is about right. I think I would maybe be more tempted to go over if Retzlaff was still there, but man, I don't love the 50-50 games where they fall. Like at Colorado, I think they kind of maybe needed that game at home. I think they may have needed at Arizona at home, at Iowa State at home. Like their road games are all they're tougher. It's just I don't know, man. Even Cincinnati on the road, like Cincinnati is not terrible. They're 6.5. We'll get to them in a second, but I don't love the schedule. TCU coming to town, like that's going to be a coin flip game. Let me give you this schedule for them, or from this time on. At Colorado, West Virginia at home, at Arizona, BYU, at Iowa State, at Texas Tech, TCU at home, at Cincy. I mean,
wait,
it's
you
a
said
sneaky
BYU.
tough schedule.
You said BYU.
For which one?
We're talking about BYU. You said BYU on someone's schedule. You said at BYU. Read that again. What's the slate again?
I was saying from for the BYU side of things. So from September 27th, they go to Colorado, West Virginia at home, at Arizona, Utah, and the rivalry game, at Iowa State, at Texas Tech, TCU at home, and then at Cincinnati. Like that is a crazy stretch for BYU.
Yeah, that's going to be tough.
I just don't like the schedule for them, and then losing their quarterback late in the process. I just think, yeah, they got a 5-star in Ryder Lyons coming in here, and they're hot on the recruiting trail right now. And I think BYU is a team and a program on the rise for sure. And I wouldn't be like they're actually a sneaky long-term winner. Like Texas Tech and BYU are kind of turning into the new top dogs of the conference, and we didn't necessarily predict that when Texas and Oklahoma split. But I don't see it this year. I think this is a down year for the Cougs, and I think a lot of people are buying some Coug stock, and I am long term. I'm not this year. I think they take a step back. I think they're a 6-6 type team. So I think their peak is maybe 8-4, but yeah, I don't see it. I'd be very surprised if they're what they were a year ago and they're a double-digit win team. I'd be very surprised. That'd be an awesome coaching job by Kalani Sitake if they're able to do that this year. But yeah, I'm going under on the Cougs.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
All right, let's go to Utah. Their rival, Matt Green, also 7.5. I think this might be the hardest one. I don't know if you agree on this front, but I think Utah in 2025 is the hardest one for me. And Kyle Whittingham, no question, top 10 coach, one of the best coaches in college football. He has been awesome. 167 and 86 at Utah. It's just, there's a lot of things that just kind of scare me about where this is right now. They went 10-4 back-to-back years in 21 and 22, but then they dropped down to 8-5 and they dropped down to 5-7. He hasn't gone 5-7 since, and 2-7 in the conference since 2013. But what's weird is he followed that up with 9-win season, 10-win season, and 9-win season. So he bounced back when he had a bad year back in the Pac-12. You know, like he did find a way to right the ship a little bit. I do think there's going to be a bump from not having to deal with the craziness of the Cam Rising, is he healthy? Is he not? Like, you're finally off that train, which I
Yeah.
imagine was extremely frustrating if you're a Ute fan, because you love him. He's a Ute for life. But man, the dude cannot stay healthy. And you were just like held hostage by Cam Rising's availability for years. And now you get to move forward. You bring in the New Mexico quarterback along with the New Mexico OC and Beck. And we'll see. It seems like the early returns there are positive, and they should get better quarterback play in 2025. But they also had to fire their offensive coordinator last year, who, remember, like almost left for Notre Dame years ago, Andy Ludwig, who was like a big deal. And I think, was he seen like at a basketball game or something with Brian Kelly at the time? And then it was like, it never happened. And he ended up staying in Utah, if I remember correctly. But it was a big deal. And I mean, he was once regarded as one of the best offensive coordinators in the sport. And then it doesn't go well with Zach Wilson's brother, Isaiah Wilson, I forget which one it was, for them last year. And the offense just sucked. The offense was awful. And like I said, you bring in new OC, new quarterback coach, but they were 54th in FEI last year. And I think the worst part of all of this is, like, it just feels like the vibe has shifted, where there's a lot of BYU buzz and your rival is now rising around you. And it feels like Utah is kind of losing its luster, and it just feels like they're not the premier program between the two of them right now, even though they just had 2 10-win seasons back-to-back 3 years ago. But I don't know if you feel that way, but I mean, there's a lot of recruiting buzz for BYU right now. They just came off a big-time win, big-time season this past year. I don't know. The BYU Utah game is pretty big this year for I think both sides, but especially the Utah side. And I don't know, like, Kyle Whittingham needs to right the ship in a major way. Like, the OC change was pretty crazy at the time. You have a head coach in waiting in Scaly. I don't know. They're just a really hard team to read, because I think they were below average last year, and I still don't love what they did this offseason. I think they should be better. And like I said, the Cam Rising part of it should help. But I look at this roster and I think I don't love it, Matt Green. I'm going under. I don't see it with Utah. This might be it for Kyle Whittingham and his era, who's been an awesome coach there, but I don't see it with the Utes. So I'm going under too. I'm going to go 7-5 for Utah this season.
Not so fast, my friend. The what I said about Arizona State, I feel like this applies in reverse for Utah. Like, so stealing a little bit from Bill Connolly's preview of Utah, they ranked 121st in turnovers last year. I don't know what close game fortune is, but they ranked 99th in that. And then lineup stability, they ranked 128th in college football a year ago. Went 5-7. It feels like they were just kind of snake bitten a year ago. I think Kyle Whittingham, if not a top 10 coach in the sport, he's a top 15, top 20 head coach in the sport. Like, Utah has just been a super consistent program. It's like, you can't really look at recruiting rankings and figure out how good Utah is going to be on a year in, year out basis. You know, they just play a certain brand of football, and they've just been consistent more times than not. Sitting at 7.5 is interesting, but they're one of the few, and maybe you might come up with one. I haven't found many like big time non-conference games. That's something we didn't talk about. Arizona State has to go at Mississippi State, right? Is one of the bigger non-con games. Utah is at UCLA in the season opener. Like, that's a pretty big one.
The Nico debut.
Yeah, it's like that. So that could be a big game, a former Pac-12 matchup. But you look at, and I don't even know where FBS Schedules is getting their rankings. They're putting numbers next to teams like they're ranked. I don't think there's a top 25 pull out right now, but the teams they have ranked, Texas Tech, that's a home game. Arizona State, that's a home game. Kansas State, that's a home game. So Colorado's a home game. Like, they do have to go at BYU, but I don't know, with how they were kind of just the chaos that is the Big 12 and how they kind of were on the I guess receiving end of a lot of chaos last year. I'm wondering if the ship kind of, the tide kind of turns in their favor this year, and Utah's back to being one of the better teams in the Big 12. So give me the over on the Utes of the 7.5.
Interesting. Okay. They're going to be fascinating. Very, very fascinating year and you never want to count out Kyle Whittingham, but we shall see. I'm very, very curious to see what Utah looks like next year.
You counted him out, though, sir. We're
I
sitting
have
here
counted him
July 20th. You counted him out. I never gave up on you, Kyle. Just remember that.
There you go.
Ham.
Kansas.
That's what his close friends call him.
Kansas, 7.5, Matt Green.
The Jayhawks. So the Jayhawks went 5-7 a year ago. I know you're a big Lance Leipold guy. I feel like I think Kansas was better than the 5-7 a year ago. Jalen Daniels is somehow still there and still in college. But I don't know. I don't think I'm a believer in Kansas this year. Like sitting at 7.5. This just feels like such a competitive conference. I'm not buying Kansas really in 2025.
Not so fast, my friend.
Oh,
You're not buying Kansas, but I'm not buying Utah. We just have them flipped here. Jalen Daniels,
okay.
Older quarterback. He's somewhere in that top 4 when he's healthy in this conference. Lance Leipold, one of the best coaches, like you said, in the conference. I also just love the schedule for them. I mean, I think bringing back the border war against Mizzou, I think they can absolutely win that game. I think Mizzou is down a little bit, and they're going to be fired up for that game. Would not be surprised if Kansas.
That's a big
just won that game out.
non-con.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised they won that game outright. They get Kansas State, their rival, at home. They got to go to Texas Tech. That'll be tough. But they get Cincy at home, West Virginia at home. At Arizona is not going to be tough. I think Arizona's, we'll get into them. Oklahoma State at home. Utah at home. At Iowa State, it's not great, but I love the schedule for them. I think this is an 8-4 type of year schedule for the Jayhawks, and they didn't go bowling last year at 5-7. I think they do this year. I think they bounce back in Jalen Daniels' final year. Give me the over on Lance Leipold and the Jayhawks. I think 8-4 is where things end up for Kansas.
All right, put it on the board. Oh, one thing I forgot to say. We'll obviously get to Arizona, but Kansas State only plays. All right, Kansas State plays 10 conference games this year. Essentially, the Arizona game is out of conference, but it's not going to count. But they are playing essentially 10 Big 12 opponents this year. That's another interesting aspect of their schedule.
Yeah. Baylor, Matt Green, 7.5. Go ahead. This is my lock of the Big 12. Baylor over 7.5. Not only am I going over for 7.5 for Dave Aranda this year, I think Baylor's winning the Big 12 this year, Matt Green.
Wow.
I think Baylor is going to be the top team in this conference. I think Sawyer Robertson was the guy when the Nico stuff went down the spring. I said, the guy I wanted, if Tennessee could get anybody from the portal, it was Sawyer Robertson. I think he's a perfect fit for what Heupel wanted to do. I think he's super accurate. I think he's gotten better every year as a player. He's 22 now, 6'4", 220. He was electric. Threw for, he was a huge player for the Bears last year. 28 TDs, 8 picks, 82.9 quarterback rating, good for 7th in the country last year. Matt Green, 3,000-yard passer. He was huge. I mean, his first big time year as a starter, and he came up in a big way. The other important thing, guess what, Matt Green? Would you like to know how many games they lost down the stretch from their final 6 games of the season? How many of them were losses, do you think?
3 of them.
0. They beat Texas Tech on the road. They beat Oklahoma State. They beat TCU. They won at West Virginia. They won at Houston. And they clobbered Kansas at home. Final 6 regular season games, Baylor went 6-0. Baylor finished hot, kind of like TCU, but even better. I'm a believer in Jake Spavital. I'm a believer in how important it was for Dave Aranda to keep him for another year in Baylor country, man. I'm a believer. They're 35th in S&P Plus, 19th in quarterback rating as a whole from a year ago. I'm a big believer in where things are headed. And I didn't think Dave Aranda was going to get this turned around. You know, we were talking about Dave before last year, right? Where we were like, I don't know. Is Dave Aranda going to figure this out at Baylor? And I think he made the right OC hire. It's the right fit for him. And man, I think Baylor is going to be the breakout team. They're going to be this year's Arizona State in the Big 12 is my prediction, Matt Green. So give me Baylor. I think they go 11-1 this season and win the Big 12 outright. Give me the Bears.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty bold. So what you don't have any concerns about their non-con schedule? Auburn and SMU?
I think they're going to beat Auburn in week 1. I think they're just going to beat Auburn outright, and that's when they burst on the scene. They go to SMU. I think that's a coin flip game. We'll see. And then you get Arizona State at home. You get Kansas State at home. You get Utah at home. You get Houston. This schedule is fantastic for them. If there's a year to break out and win the Big 12, it's this year.
If they start like 4-0, it feels like they could start like 1-3 or something, though.
1-3.
I mean, Auburn, SMU, and Arizona State, those aren't 3 losable games.
2 of those are at home.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. I don't know about Auburn this year. Auburn's like just a total like, question mark, but I mean, it wouldn't shock me if the Tigers came in on a Friday. It is a weekday. You know how I love a weekday road game. So it is on Friday night. So I didn't realize that. That'll be a nice little teaser before the Saturday slate. Auburn at Baylor on Friday night. But I don't know, man. I'm not I don't know. This whole damn conference is over under is 7.5. It's someone has to lose these games.
Did you forget? Can we do a fact or fiction here, Matt Green?
Yeah.
Fact or fiction? Dave Aranda's won 12 games at Baylor before.
Oh, well, that's a fact. When they won the conference a couple years ago, they beat Oklahoma State.
Yeah, 12-2.
Yeah, I mean, then what followed up with 3 wins? They followed up with a 3-win team, or like a 2-win.
6.
Season?
They were 6-6 the following year, and then they went 3-9 in 23.
There is a 3-win. Okay, that's what.
And then they went 8-5 last year. I think they're back to a 12-2 type run. I think this Baylor team's really good.
I feel like I want to disagree because I'm not nearly as high on them, but I am high. I am over 7.5. So we'll both stay over on this, but I'm thinking like 8 wins. Like I'm not thinking 11-1 winning the conference or anything.
Okay.
That's bold.
Hey, the Big 12, you got to be bold, man. If anyone who's predicting just like Arizona State versus Kansas State, get out of here. We all know that's not how this is going. Did last year teach you nothing?
Yeah, exactly.
Next up, Iowa State 7.5. Matt Green, what say you?
Speaking of, one of the teams you can just trust, right? The Iowa State Cyclones. Just how often have we said it? Just the model of consistency in college football, the Iowa State Cyclones. No, Matt Campbell is a great coach. It just feels like year in, year out. I don't know. I almost feel like because they're coming off an 11-win season, that's why they're going to go under next year. Like, I don't know. Could Iowa State do this 2 years in a row? They do have Rocco Becht back this year. They lost their top 2 receivers from a year ago. Like I said, finished 11-3. I don't know. Let me pull up the schedule for Iowa State. I just vibes wise, like I just don't know what to make of Iowa State, really. Like it's when it comes to just year in and year out, like I kind of said. So they open the season opener in where's it, Ireland again with Kansas State.
Yes.
Play Iowa, obviously early out of conference. BYU, Arizona State, they get at home. I feel like it's not necessarily the toughest schedule in the Big 12. I go at Colorado, at Cincinnati. Why are they playing at Arkansas State? I don't know. That's a very weird game. I don't know. I keep going back and forth because I know that Matt Campbell is a good coach, and 8 wins, 9 wins doesn't seem, crazy for Iowa State. But how many overs have I gone already? I don't know. Someone's got to lose these games in this conference. But I feel like everyone in this conference could go 7-5, 8-4, and it wouldn't really surprise me. Give me the over. Give me the over. This is another 8-win team, Iowa State. Yeah, the schedule, I feel like it's a manageable schedule this year.
He's only done it once in the last 5 years. And we'll see if he's able to do it. Like 11-3, first double-digit win season ever as a head coach. I think a lot of people, Rocco Becht really fun story. Started as a true freshman and has gotten better every year. Another great there's just so many good quarterbacks in this conference. I just don't see it. Like you said, we can't have everybody here at the top of the conference. I just don't see it with Iowa State this year. And you said like the tradition of Iowa State. Matt Green, we've talked about this.
Joking.
But no, people think they're like this stable program where it's like Matt Campbell's just got them humming. And it's like, well, no, it was bad the previous 3 years before they broke out again this past year. 7-6, 4-8, 7-6.
Yeah.
And they had that 9-3 year in the COVID year. 7-6, 8-5, 8-5, 3. Like they're solid, but they're not winning the Big 12 great. Like they have not been a consistent juggernaut in this conference. And I just have a hard time believing it. I need to see the Clones do this back to back, and I don't see it. And I think the schedule is sneaky tough for them. I don't love this schedule for the Clones. I think there's a real chance they start out 1-2. I don't think they beat Kansas State, and I don't think they beat Iowa, who I'm a lot higher on this year. Like you said, that at Arkansas State's kind of weird with Butch Jones Company. I don't love it. Like at Colorado's going to be tough. At TCU is going to be really tough. I don't love this schedule at all for the Clones. I think it's a 7-5, 8-4 type of year. So I need some under. So I'm gonna go under on the Clones.
Yeah, Big 12 vibes were giving me an under here, but I feel like I changed my mind last second. For what it's worth, he's had 3 7-6 seasons. All of those seasons were 7-5 regular season, losing the bowl game. So they're almost. He's almost made the floor 7 wins in his time at Iowa State. And that, maybe that's not impressive at a lot of places, but that is something. It's not nothing.
Colorado, 6.5. This was, I think, one that's really interesting because Colorado, I feel like, is in the Tennessee bracket in the Big 12, where I'm looking at a lot of preseason stuff where it feels like a lot of folks are downplaying Colorado this year and aren't believers. They bring in Caden Salter to replace Shador. Obviously, Travis Hunter, your Heisman's gone. There's going to be a drop-off. But they get Larry Johnson, who was a good tackle for Tennessee this past cycle. He was a former JUCO guy, and he grew into a serviceable player. And if David Sanders wasn't on the roster at right tackle this year, I mean, I think there's a chance he's the starter at Tennessee this year at right tackle. And that's an SEC tackle. And you have him compared with Jordan Seaton, another 5-star guy who's in his second year, should be better. There's still a good setup, at Colorado. I mean, there's a lot of big names, obviously, on the staff with like Sapp. Isn't Marshall Faulk also there, I want to say?
Yeah.
Coaching running backs. But I mean, it's a great staff. I think I think Dion proved a lot of folks wrong this past year. But it's also like the offense was really good. And part of it was Shador, part of it was Travis Hunter. But this is a good offense. I think people have gone a little bit too far on Colorado. And I think they were one of the best teams in the Big 12, maybe the best team last year. They were top 10 in passing yards per game last year, 31st overall in FEI. I like the tackles. I think the offensive line should be better. But the weird stuff is like Shador led FBS with 28 passing TDs in conference play a year ago. No other quarterback played better against other conference competition than Shador last year. And that's going to be hard to replace. And I don't know. I don't know what Caden Salter's going to do, because Caden Salter is coming off a really weird down year at Liberty, where they went undefeated 2 years ago. Remember, it got blasted by Oregon in the New Year's Six Bowl game. And it was just a weird year for Jamie Chadwell and company in the CUSA. And it wasn't like a disaster year, but it wasn't a great year. And now Caden is over here. But he's an older quarterback, and it should be a good landing spot for him to keep the seat warm so you don't have to throw Juju Lewis to the fire as a true freshman. But yeah, I don't know. I think people have gone too far. I think Colorado deserves more benefit of the doubt here. And I think Dion is going to do better than just fighting for a bowl game. I think they're going to go 7-5. So I think 6.5, a little too low for my taste. Give me the Buffs to go over.
See, I don't think it's anything about Dion or anything, not giving him benefit of the doubt. It's just Travis Hunter was the best player in college football a year ago. Just how much just his individual skill set brought to the table a year ago, but also like Shador Sanders was their whole offense, and it felt like Shador Sanders kind of running around making plays was their offense. So it's hard for me to that team won 9 games in a very unconventional way, so it's hard to, it's basically not repeatable because you're losing two big time talents like Shador Sanders and Travis Hunter. They're just going to be completely different. And I feel like at this point, I can't, of all like the chaos in the Big 12, it feels like they don't have like the, I don't know, the benefit of the doubt working for them right now. I feel like there's just too much uncertainty. I'm going under on Colorado. I think maybe they win a bowl game, but I think they're 100% going to be one of those teams that's sweating a bowl game late November.
Well, and I would also say what does suck for Colorado, I think they have the hardest schedule in the Big 12. I mean, opening with Georgia Tech at home is tough as it is out of conference, but I mean, they get Arizona State at home. They finish the year at Kansas State. They go to Utah, Iowa State at home, at TCU, BYU coming in at home. I mean, they go to Houston. I don't love the schedule, but I don't know. I'm going to ride with Dion to get over. I think he's going to get 7-5. That's what I think. If you can get to 7-5, it's a good year. And then you have Juju coming in next year.
That's probably fair. Well, Juju's there this year.
Well, I'm saying the starter next year. Like you don't like just next year. Yeah. Next up, Cincinnati. I think they're the most irrelevant team in the Big 12. What say you, Matt Green, at 6.5?
Yeah, I think so. I think like I was kind of shocked how they just kind of fell off a cliff after Luke Fickell left. Like I know Luke Fickell is one of the best coaches in college football, but you kind of assumed, and obviously it's not like they were making that jump to the Big 12 at the same time. So maybe just not prepared to do that with a new coach, or maybe Luke Fickell knew exactly when to jump off the ship. But yeah, I'm with you. Cincinnati, they 3-9 first year Scott Satterfield, 5-7 year 2. They just really do feel like the worst team in the Big 12 right now. Also, they have Nebraska and Northwestern. Northwestern State, my bad. Nebraska out of conference. So, and then Bowling Green, the other non-conference. But Nebraska, I would assume that's a loss in the season opener. And then, yeah, you get Iowa State at home. You got to go at Utah, at TCU, at Oklahoma State, so at Kansas. So I don't know. I'm not a believer in Cincinnati this year. Give me, what was it? 5.5, 6.5?
It's 6.5.
I'm going under on Cincinnati.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, it's just like you said, Scott Satterfield was an uninspiring hire at the time. And it's just weird because he's actually 84 and 64 as a coach. Like, he's not a bad coach. Like, that's the problem. It's like you got better a year ago. You went 3-9. Brendan Sorsby's a good good quarterback. Like, I think there is reason for optimism a little bit, but like cautious optimism where he's 14th and 11th. He's 8-16 thus far. Big year. I think he's got to get to 7+ wins to keep his job, right? To go into a fourth year. And I just don't see it. I mean, he finished 25-24 in 4 years at Louisville, but it's just so weird because he was so good at App State for 5 years, and it just has not really worked out anywhere else, which is just, he's just had a really weird career, right? I don't know. I'm out on the Satterfield era in Cincinnati, and I'm sure a lot of Cincinnati fans are. So I'm going to go under with you.
Well, and you look at, too, like the program he took over, like, what is that, 44 wins Cincinnati had in the 4 years prior to him being there, and then they go to the Big 12. So it was like already going to be tough to replicate what Luke Fickell had done, and then the level of competition just got that much more difficult. It's kind of the wrong place at the wrong time, really.
Yeah, it's not great. Like, he's just, I don't know. It's not. I don't think it's going to work there, and I just don't think he's the guy at that spot. And like you said, like Louisville immediately got better with Jeff Brom, and you could see Cincinnati bouncing back because I mean Cincinnati's a great traditional job, right? Like Marcus Freeman, Luke Fickell, Brian Kelly. I mean, it's what, Butch Jones? Like, it's been
D'Antonio, right?
D'Antonio, yeah.
Yeah, before Brian Kelly. Like they produced big time Power 5 head coaches there, like several in a row.
I mean, Butch Jones went 23-14 there. He won 10 games and 9 games in back-to-back years before he got the Tennessee job. I mean, it's a job where people win there consistently. I think Satterfield's got to I think he's got to get to 7-8 wins to calm those concerns. I just don't see it though. Yeah, Cincinnati Bearcat fans deserve better. Next up, Houston, 5.5. Willie Fritz in year 2 here. Matt Green. I I don't see it this year either. The weird part is they have Keyshawn Henderson, he's the third, fourth best quarterback in the 2026 cycle. And there's a lot of optimism, 5-star guy. It's a huge get for the Cougs, but they haven't had that same buzz, right, as Texas Tech and some of the other Texas schools. Like SMU is kind of ahead of them, TCU. And you thought Houston would be an NIL winner. I mean, the basketball program is rolling. Like, you could argue they have the best basketball program in the country right now. But I don't know. I just think with this group coming back, I'm not a big Connor Wegman guy. He can't stay healthy. I understand why you take a chance on him if you're Houston. I just see another bad year for Willie Fritz, unfortunately. Super likable guy, has won everywhere, an older coach, but I don't know if you're like me. I just don't see it. I think I'm taking the under. I think it's another 3-9, 4-8 type of year for the Cougs.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by that. I mean, I am a Connor Wegman fan. I mean, when he's been playing, like we've seen him play, good ball. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if he kind of takes Houston to the next level. And I'm a big year 2 guy. So Willie Fritz has had success. So I feel like year 2 is when we see a lot of coaches take that next step. So I don't know. I feel like Houston's got a solid tradition. What, it's 5.5, you said, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna say Houston gets to a bowl game, wins that 6th game. Connor Wegman stays healthy this year. And give me over on the Cougs.
Interesting. I mean, they were bad last year, Matt. Like, they were 115th in FEI in offense, 70th overall in FEI, 59th in S&P Plus is their projection this year. I don't know. I don't see it. I mean, Slade Nagel was an interesting OC hire that Willie Fritz made because of how bad that offense was a year ago. Maybe he can get something out of Wegman, but I think the optimism and the excitement is next year, where you might be starting a true freshman star and Henderson.
How about this stat for you, sir? Willie Fritz is coached at Blinn Community College, Central Missouri, Sam Houston, Georgia Southern, and Tulane. Combined in those seasons, his combined year ones at those schools, 30, 25, and 1.
Mm-hmm.
All right. His combined second year at those schools, 44 and 17. So, do that with what you will. Willie Fritz, big year 2 guy.
I'm rooting for him. He's an easy guy to root for. I just don't see it.
No, you're rooting against him.
No, not rooting against him. UCF. I might be rooting against this guy, Scott Frost. 5.5 for the Golden Knights. What say you, Matt Green?
Rooting against Scott Frost. Why would you be rooting against Scott Frost, sir?
I didn't like his Nebraska comments. It just doesn't feel like he's really learned a lot from what happened there.
Yeah, I'm with you there. It was an interesting little shade to be throwing at Nebraska at the supposed home, the alma mater.
It rubbed me the wrong way, Matt Green.
UCF's another one of those, like Cincinnati. I don't know. I don't know like what the ceiling of this program is, because we all talk about Scott Frost and tongue in cheek national champions in 2017 and all that, but. And I know you can be a good program, not be in one of the Power 4 conferences. And I think the Big 12 is really not getting the respect of the other power conferences either. So it is kind of a step below. But you've seen what Cincinnati's done in their first 2 years in this conference. UCF goes from winning 13, 12, 10 games, 6-4 in Josh Heupel's last year. I don't know what that year is about. Bad coaching probably. But no, I'm just joking. And then Malzahn 9-4, 9-5 his first 2 years, and then follows it up with 6-7 and 4-8 in their first 2 years in the Big 12. So even Malzahn was just kind of keeping the UCF thing churning, like kind of the same Frost, and maybe not the same level of Frost, but they were still a respectable, good program like they were under Frost and Heupel. And then once they joined the Big 12, it's like, okay, things got a lot different. So I don't know what the ceiling is for UCF right now. And now they're like you said, and now they're at year 1 of another head coaching change. I'm going to go under on UCF. I'm not really buying them this year.
I'm not either. It's funny, like my first thought was like, oh yeah, it makes sense. Scott Frost going back and the Malzahn thing. Now I'm like, it's funny because I think if you went back and listened to our preview last year with Malzahn and just kind of like there's buzz, right? Like Malzahn, oh what a good find for the Golden Knights. Good job by them. Like Gus Malzahn rejuvenated a little bit, having a chip on his shoulder for out ended at Auburn. And he's like, "No, I'm gonna go be an OC." It didn't go well. I'm gonna go be an OC at Florida State with my guy Mike Norvell. If I'm a UCF fan, I'm just kind of like, I don't love what I'm hearing from Scott Frost out of the gate here. QB1 might be Taven Jackson, who started his career at Tennessee, transferred to Indiana, didn't do well there, and then he gets beat out by Curtis Rourke, and then he transfers again. So this is his third school. I don't think you're excited about that if you're a UCF fan. It obviously didn't go well for Scott Frost at Nebraska. I just don't know if this is a retread that's going to go well, because we're going to talk about another retread here in our final two that I have a different feeling on. I don't see it with Scott Frost and the UCF team, UCF Golden Knights this year, and I just think this isn't going to go well. I don't think part two goes well for Frost and the Golden Knights. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm selling on UCF. I think there's a chance they're the worst team in the Big 12 this year. So I'm going to go under.
Yeah, I think they're going to be in that group as well.
Next up, Arizona. Matt Green, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. So this was one I didn't want to be right on, but I said before last year, like one of my least favorite hires of the last cycle was Brent Brennan to Arizona. Jed Fish did a really good job there, obviously. It's a hard job. If you look through the history of Arizona, not a lot of winners. Dick Tomey was really good there for a long time, but you had a little bit of Rich Rod, who we'll talk about here in a second. And then you obviously had Jed Fish here. But man, I guess Stoops too. We could throw Stoops in that mix as well. But I didn't like, it was a disaster last year. And you had NFL players, Matt Green. He inherited a great like they didn't all transfer. Like Noah Fifito was back. Terratona McMillan was back. And the offense was awful. So they fire their OC and they bring in what I think Seth Dogie this year. Fifito's back for like his 13th year of college football. But they were 103rd in passing offense last year. They're projected 60th in S&P Plus this year. I think they have worse talent than they did a year ago. I think there's a real possibility Brent Brennan's 2 and done at Arizona. Maybe they won't do it, but it's just he wasn't great at San Jose State. Like he's never been like a great head coach. And I just look at it, I'm like, he might just be an offensive coordinator guy. He might just be a G5 head coach, like super nice guy. Like I don't think he's a good head coach. Like I don't think he's built for the Power 4 at this level. And I don't think this is going well. I can't believe how bad that offense was last year with McMillan and Fifita. I don't know. It's a huge year. You can't have back-to-back colossal bad years with returning great college player like Fifita, but I think it's in the cards, man. I think Arizona stinks. I think they're cooked, and I think if you go 3-9, I mean, do you fire Brennan if you go 3-9 or worse this year? You give him 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, I just think 2 years is just that's extreme to fire anybody, especially somewhere like Arizona State or somewhere like Arizona. Like obviously Jed Fish left the program like, better than he found it. They're coming off a 10-win season, but I don't know. It's I think 2 years is harsh to fire anybody. It's not like the standard was super high when he got there.
Well, it doesn't help that Kenny Dillingham now has it all humming at the rival school at Arizona State. Yeah. And they just made the CFP. But the other part of it is Matt Green. He's 38 and 56 as a head coach. He never won more than 7 games at San Jose State. And you see who replaced him, Ken Nehemiah Tololo, already good.
Well, and it was a late hire too because of the DeBoer taking the Alabama job after Saban retires, and then Fish taking the Washington job. So they did have to fill it late. So maybe you don't get that same leash because you were kind of a last minute hire and you were the only guy we could find. Maybe you get a couple of years, but I don't know. I still think just 2 years is kind of harsh. But if it's another year just as bad, it'll be tough to keep his job for sure. I think I'm with you too. I'm going to go under on them as well.
All right, Matt Green. Final one here. West Virginia, 5.5. Rich Rod is back. I'm a lot more bullish on Rich Rod's reunion in Morgantown than I am Scott Frost in Orlando. What about you?
I'm with you, man. I don't know if it's just because of the era that we're from, I mean, would you say the Mac Brown reunion was a success
Yes.
in North Carolina? Was it?
Yeah, I think it's a success. Yes.
I don't know. I think it's debatable, but
You got to
I
look
think-
at the history of North Carolina football. It was a success. He was good both times.
Yeah, that's probably true. The Petrino reunion, I mean that worked out, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Lamar Jackson won the Heisman and stuff like that. Like they were winning 8-9 games,
Yeah.
stuff like that. It's that era that I like. I like the reunions from, but I'm with you. I like Rich Rod at West Virginia. I think because of like we know what his system is, and like we lived through the Pat White, Steve Slayton, Noel Devine era. Yeah, they brought in 52 transfers this year. It's just going to be just insanely different what this team was a year ago. They were 6-7 last year. I'm thinking 5.5. I'm going to take the over. I think that Mountaineers get it done, and get to a bowl game.
I agree. I think the Mountaineers get to 6-6. I think Rich Rod, I mean, he's one of the best coaches that doesn't get the respect. I mean, he went 9-4 both years at Jack State, and 9-2 when they were in the Atlantic Sun in the FCS route. He's 27-10 total there. It's a really hard job, especially in the transfer portal era. He went 43-35. He won 10 games at Arizona. He won 26 games his first 3 years. That's really hard to do there. And he has one season at West Virginia where he didn't win at least 8 games. I think the dude can flat out coach ball. 190, 192, and 2 all time. Give me Rich Rod in the over. I'm never going to be doubting Rich Rodriguez. Give me 6-6 for the Mountaineers. And I wouldn't want them on my schedule. He's still got it, man. He's still got his fastball. 60-26 all time at WVU. I'm not counting him out, even at 62.
Yeah, I'm with you. But what happens if he takes that Alabama job in 2007? We will never know. But where does Nick Saban go from there?
That's true. All right, Matt Green. Well, as we wrap up here, who is your Big 12 championship game, and who do you have in the winning it all this year in the Big 12?
Big 12 championship game. I'm going to go with Kansas State and Texas Tech. I think I'm going to go with the I think I'm going to go with the Wildcats to win the Big 12, raising the banners in Little Apple.
So we have one team on the list. I think Kansas State also makes it back in 10-2, and then I think they lose in a great game to the Baylor Bears, who go to the CFP this season. And one of the top seeds, man. I think Baylor's going to be really good. So give me the Baylor Bears to win the Big 12 over Kansas State.
Wow, that's bold.
I think so. I mean, Texas Tech's kind of bold too.
Vern Lundquist impression.
There you
I
go.
don't know. It sounded like it when I said it.
Matt Green, what can the good folks check out from you over at Georgia Voice of College Football this week?
Yeah, man. Just we're gonna be talking. I don't know. We'll have to figure out what to talk about. But we're coming at you every Tuesday live at 7:00. So hope the good folks tune in.
There you go. Matt Green, always a pleasure, my friend, and I will talk to you again next week.
Yes, sir.
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas Podcast. Hell yeah.